Dan Koe took his one-person business from $0 to $4.2 million in just 2 short years. Now, of course, he struggled in the beginning to get things going, but quickly he's passed all of his competition. What took him from 0 to over $4 million per year? Well, he has a superpower in turning raving fans into loyal customers. He's amassed a massive following just in 2 short years of over 2 million people. And today we're going to look inside of his sales funnel, the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, the bottom of the funnel, the 3 sales funnels that are generating him over $300,000 every single month. And I'm going to show you his secret plan to hit $100 million in net worth within the next few years. So first I want to give you a 30,000 foot overview of what he is doing. You can see his funnel right here, but let's dive in first to the sources that he's running. He has a newsletter, a YouTube channel, podcast, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Now, in a second, I'm going to show you the revenue distribution from all of these and how much money he's making from each. But first, I want to go over how he's able to do all of this as a one-person business. So it all starts with his newsletter. He writes for about 2 hours every single day on his newsletter, and then he reads that as a YouTube video. So he just reads the script. Then he takes that same audio file and puts it on podcast. And then he has Twitter, which he takes some of the ideas from his newsletter and tweets them, as well as some original ideas. He then takes snippets from YouTube, adds some cool animations, and posts those on Instagram, which is actually his biggest audience size of 1.6 million. However, it doesn't account for much revenue, but we'll get to that in a second. Lastly, he has LinkedIn, which is more repurposed content. So he's really only making one piece of content and then able to put it on all of these platforms. So what is the revenue distribution on these platforms? Well, according to him, 40 to 50% is YouTube, where 15% is Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter combined. So YouTube really makes up the bulk of this. The newsletter accounts for about 25%, and 10% accounts for the podcast. The way I see it from the outside looking in is Instagram, LinkedIn, and X might not bring in all that much revenue, but they send people to YouTube and the newsletter where they're ultimately going to get warmed up enough to buy. Now, how does he actually turn that audience into loyal customers? Well, there's 2 things. Number one is the number one skill I think he possesses, which is writing. If you listen to Dan Koe's videos, his writing is phenomenal. If you read his newsletters, his writing is phenomenal. But it's not just enough to be a good writer. You need to take good writing and apply good marketing to it. If you watch his videos, you'll see sprinkled throughout these little beliefs and different things that he's doing in order to nurture people to get them to the point of a purchase decision. And in our next video, we're going to go over the 7 beliefs of every single successful funnel that we reviewed. Sam Evans, Iman Gadzhi, Sabri Subi, they all use these 7 beliefs to get people from stranger to customer as quickly as possible. And Dan is doing a lot of those things within his YouTube video. So we'll kind of talk about how he's doing that throughout this video, but let's dive in now to the funnel. So there's many paths people can go on, but if they go to thedankoe.com, this is what they'll find. There's an opt-in to get people to join the newsletter. So you can start to think about this as the top of the funnel, okay? They engage with him off of social media for the first time, and he's trying to get them on a newsletter because he knows a lot of those people will eventually convert. Now, I want you to notice something really quick. Look at this headline: work less, earn more, enjoy life. One of the things that Dan does that is genius, that a lot of people miss, is he's selling to an existing desire that is huge. This is one of the 7 beliefs we're going to cover in the next video, desire. But he's not just saying, a surface level desire like make more. Dan does a really good job throughout all of his marketing of sprinkling in all these different things and kind of preaching this holistic lifestyle promise that really fills in the gaps of what his audience wants. So work less, earn more, okay? Part of that is kind of like a paradox, right? People think they need to work more in order to earn more. And he says, no, you don't if you follow this framework. And then he says, enjoy life, which again, most people don't see these 3 things going together. So a lot of his messaging is you shouldn't work more than 4 hours a day. You should make over $1 million a year. That's 2 things that people want. And he just sprinkles tons of this stuff throughout all of his marketing. First, he has the Art of Focus book, which is a great entry point into his other programs. With his large audience, there's a percentage who aren't ready to go buy a program. They can buy this first, get more warmed up to him, and then eventually buy the higher ticket programs, which brings me to the 2 main programs, and then we're going to get into some of the real moneymakers in a second. So this is his lowest tier program called the 2-Hour Writer. We're going to look through this really quick and see what he's doing, how he's selling people, and what he could be doing better in order to sell more. So the headline is Learn the Recession-Proof Skill for the Digital Economy Without Spending 4 years and $43,000 on a degree. What's the framework he's following here? Number 1, learn the recession-proof skill. Okay, two things going on there. He's speaking to a pain point. People are afraid of losing their jobs because of the recession. But not only that, he's also adding some curiosity. What is this recession-proof skill? And what is the digital economy? I feel like I'm missing out just by reading his headline. But then he says, without spending 4 years and $43,000 on a degree. Okay, there's a few things going on here that you might be missing. Number one, he's saying what they don't want. Right? Okay, that's pretty obvious. No one wants to go spend 4 years to get a degree and $42K. But the second thing he's doing is price marinating. So price marinating is when you anchor with a high price point before your lower price point. I don't know if he knows he's doing this, but by saying $42,000 up here, when they get to the real price point, it seems a lot cheaper because they have this $42,000 number sitting in their head. So by comparison, it's going to seem a lot cheaper. Then the call to action is join 8,000 students. Great call to action. Rather than just saying join now, he adds some social proof in there, then more social proof beneath it. And next, I want to show you how he actually structures these funnels. So pretty much every single one of his program funnels is the same. It's headline, call to action, social proof, and then a long sales letter with social proof sprinkled throughout. And this sales letter is going through the 7 beliefs, which we don't have time to get to today. But if you want to make sure you don't miss that, make sure you subscribe so you can see, again, the things that Sam Ovens, Iman Gadzhi, Sabri Subi, and now Dan Koe all do, and every single 7-figure funnel does. But for now, you can think about it as he's selling the beliefs that they need to believe in order to make a purchase decision, okay? So the biggest thing that people need to believe is that they need to learn this recession-proof skill in order to get what they want, right? So throughout this letter, he's going to kind of push pain on the current situation that they're in, as well as push desire on their desired situation, create a gap between those two, and then make a bridge from the current situation to the desired situation, which is his product. And then he introduces himself. And what is he doing here? He said, I started out like everyone else. He talks about all of these failed businesses he had. Why is that important? Well, when somebody's selling a end result, when somebody's selling a promise, it works so much better if their current situation is the person's desired situation, okay? So if I'm reading this and I want to get to $1 million a year with writing, by seeing that Dan has gotten to $1 million a year with writing, of course I'm going to trust him more. But not only that, his past current situation should be close to my current situation. So if I feel like I've struggled and I've tried all these things and none of it is working, then now I can relate with Dan and I can trust him more, and he'll give me an aha moment that this is the new opportunity, this is the thing I need. So that's what he's tapping into here. And then it's more of the same, more sales letter, more social proof, hitting on different beliefs all the way down. But there's another section here that I want to make sure you don't miss. Look at all of this social proof. He's really made this wall of social proof. And this is something that I think most people miss out on. They don't put enough social proof in their funnels. I'm still scrolling, and I literally just scroll as fast as I can. It took me forever to get through this. Then he stacks the offer, showing all the things you get, adding some physical values to these things, $850, $97, $97. Again, price marinating, stacking the value. So when he gives you the price, it makes sense. Then he gives the guarantee before the price, which is really interesting. I mean, it's probably fine, but typically that would go after the price. Then more social proof. But again, we still haven't even seen the price. He's getting you to the point where you're saying, I want this. How much is it? Right? That's the next logical question. But then more social proof, 8,000 students get instant access, and boom, it's just $150. Wow, I thought it was gonna be 43,000. So then he stacks the offer once again, showing all of this stuff you get, which makes this no longer a commodity, but now you really can't put a price tag on it. Then it says enroll in the 2-hour writer. Now, I want to go over a few things I think he could do better. First off, in the checkout page, because when we go to the checkout page, it's very bland, it's very simple. There's no social proof. It kind of looks a little bit odd, doesn't look, normally these things are flipped, right? The billing is on the left, this is on the right, and people are more comfortable checking out with checkouts they have used before, things that look similar to what they've used before. We've seen really high conversion rate boosts from just having a checkout page that is optimized. So I think if he made a custom one, it would work a lot better. The second thing I think he could do better here is adding a VSL up here on the initial fold, reading through this same script. I mean, this is literally what he does on YouTube, right? He writes out a script for his newsletter and then he reads it. People that follow him probably like video, and I'd be willing to bet, since 50% of his revenue comes from YouTube and only 25% from the newsletter, he would get more sales if he had video here because his audience prefers video. So a VSL, I think, would really boost the conversion rate. Now, the third thing I think he could probably do, and maybe he's tested, is charge more than $150. And not only charge more than $150, but put the price ending in a 7 to a 9. And the reason I say that is one of the smartest direct response marketers, Dan Koe, did a study where he tested all of the different price points from 5 to 0. So he went from $395 to $400 even, and he noticed the prices that ended in a 7 or a 9 converted much better than ending in a 0 or a 5. It was a pretty big difference. So people just like 147 or 149 better than 150, even though they know exactly what's happening. It's just easier to swallow. But the second thing I think he could do is raise this a little bit to 197, 247. We've even seen higher price points from 200 to 247 convert higher than the lower price points, simply because people value it more, right? Obviously, there's a price point where people no longer are willing to pay and there's diminishing returns, but I think he could test that if he hasn't already. So digital economics is the second program. The headline here is productize yourself with a unique brand, profitable offer, and AI-proof content strategy. Very similar framework to the last one. And the page is almost identical. Social proof, long sales letter. Again, I think you could put a VSL here and convert more people. The price here is $4.99 or $9.99, so a little bit higher ticket, but again, basically the same exact funnel. So let's go back to our 30,000 foot overview. What's next? Well, he recently launched a program that's 5,000 to 7,500. It's called Cortex University. Now, this funnel is interesting. You're not going to want to miss this. More of the same on the first page here, but he adds in 2 extra steps from the other funnel, which is very, very interesting. So the headline is start your one-person writing business in 16 weeks. Okay, cool. So this page is pretty long still, but the call to action is to get more information. When I fill out these 8 or 9 questions, I land on this page, and this is something I think he could do better. It says, we sent you an email with next steps, but then it says, get more information now. I think if he just added that to the main page and didn't make me click, it would work better because more people would land on this page, which would mean more people convert. So I think people are probably getting stuck at that step. So he has that form, which is different than his other funnels. And why? Well, this program is much more expensive, and there's 3 reasons why he's doing it. 1, it warms me up. It forces me to be more bought into the process. Number 2, it qualifies me. And number 3 is now he's able to contact me because he has my email address. So if I go through this process and don't buy, he can have setters reach out to me. He can email me in a different way and so forth. So on this funnel, he actually has a video, which is great. It doesn't really look like a VSL, but still that's going to work much better than just written word. So I'm glad he's doing that on this one. He then adds in some scarcity, 20 enrollments, March 1st. Again, same content, the same thing we're going to go over the next video, the 7 beliefs. He then goes over the different founders inside of this program, more copy, more social proof. You can see how the framework is exactly the same. This is pretty cool. He says, if you stick to the program for 1 year, you'll have a community of people that share your work so you can actually grow, unlike the people who try to do it alone. That's kind of the big promise, which isn't really, kind of a pie in the sky promise. It's fairly simple and very, very believable. Then he stacks the offer, again, kind of creating as much value as possible. So when he drops the price, it seems worth it. And the price is $5,000 to $7,500, but you cannot enroll on this page. You have to send a message. Now, this is super interesting. I haven't really seen anybody ever do it this way, which is fine. I would assume if he just moved people to a calendar where he had sales reps and people booked in a call, this would convert better. However, maybe they tested that, or maybe if they only need 20 students, they just can't really justify taking hundreds of calls. So maybe that's working great, but it is a little bit odd, but at least they're in the messages and they can close them that way. It's just a little bit strange to message somebody about a $5,000 purchase. But again, they're obviously doing very, very well. Now, the last thing is arguably the most important. It's how I think he's going to amass a net worth of over $100 million in the next few years. And it's his SaaS product, Cortex. Now, why do I think that this is going to be the biggest driver in his net worth? Well, it's simple. SaaS multiples are way better than education. So he's making $4 million a year on his info products. That's great. But that's not really sellable, right? It's so attached to his brand, it would be extremely difficult to sell. And even if he did, right? This is coming from somebody who sold my last education business. We sold it at a 2.6x multiple, and I sold it to my business partner, right? Not somebody that wasn't involved in the business at all. So 2.6x. However, if you look at SaaS products, they go for 10, 20, sometimes even 40x revenue, not even profit, revenue. Companies like Teachable that were making $10 million a year in revenue, no profit, sold for $200 million. Notion, which would be a competitor to Cortex, at a valuation of $10 billion, you're probably never going to get an education business there. So this is Cortex. It's not yet out, but I think it'll do extremely well, fueled by his audience. The headline is Build a Second Brain to Tax Your Productivity, Creativity, and Profitability. Again, they're just selling the dream outcome here with a bit of curiosity. What is the second brain? The funnel here looks exceptionally well. I believe this is built on Webflow. Just the animations and such would suggest that. It looks really good. I don't love this gradient aspect, probably just nitpicking, but it makes it a little bit harder to read. But all in all, it looks really good. You can sign up for the newsletter, right? They're going to do the same content strategy, it seems like, with a newsletter every single week to get subscribers for this thing. And I'm sure it's going to work exceptionally well. Oh, that's cool. You can like drag and then read it. At least on that one, you can drag and read. That's really cool. Again, he's just selling this main idea. Attention is the new oil, and novel ideas capture attention better than sleazy techniques we're all tired of. So again, if you think about the desire of his market, they want to earn more, they want to work less, and they want their status to go up. And sleazy techniques to sling horses on the internet do not make your status go up. So he's literally just speaking to their core desire, but we'll get more of that in the next video on the 7 beliefs that not only him, but Sam Evans, Iman Gadzhi, Sabri Subi, and every single other 7- and 8-figure entrepreneur uses inside of their funnel and outside of their funnel to convert total strangers into customers. So if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to make sure you don't miss that one. And here's another one that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. I'll see you in the next video.